And welcome to Black Conservative Radio here on iHeart Intellectual Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman, here at the top of the hour. All right, a couple of things. Last week, I was talking about the young boy, the special needs boy, who is unfortunately still missing. Okay, this is a family that was from St. Louis. They came up to visit family, and the young boy, he is special needs, meaning that he not only he's special needs, but he is autistic and he is nonverbal. So this is really becoming very distressing. I don't want people to, we should be concerned, but I don't want people to really start to flip out. And the thing is that there's been no follow-ups. There's been there no follow-ups, no leads or anything. The last report is that they had the cadaver dogs out, and they followed the boy's trail or his scent to the edge of the river that is behind the hotel that they were staying at. Okay, now that is a little concerning, and being realistic with certain things that happen like this. The fact that this boy is, I believe he's 13, 14 years old, nonverbal. He can't even cry out for help if he's in trouble. He can't communicate with anyone to guide him or to point him in a direction of some type of assistance. So this is where we're at with this thing here. So, and this is a story that's out of Hammond, Indiana. So, but just follow up on this story as best as you can, and because it's going on almost 3 weeks now, and there's no sign of this young boy. Now, the dark side of this, we have to talk about it. We have to address it. The dark side of this story is that in the event that something did unfortunately happen to this boy, say he fell into the river, and depending on the current, it would take anywhere between 7 to 10 days for the body to resurface from. Okay. Also depends on where the current carried him. Okay. But we don't, we try not to think about that, but we have to be realistic too. We definitely do. The other thing is that, the family is, they're I'm sure that they are distraught and, a little bit dazed and confused, but we got to try to see. This is the thing about blacks missing. We have to do what white people do. We have to keep it fresh in people's minds. We have to keep it fresh in the media's mind, so we are not forgotten. We are not forgotten people. We have to do that. And that's that, and this is something that we got to stay on, even to a point to where the postal movement, and talking about another story. And this is also distressing. The postal worker that's been missing for almost let me rephrase that. Correct myself. The postal worker that's been missing, pregnant postal worker that's been missing for almost 2 years. This woman disappeared without a trace. These are stories that we have to keep in the media. We have to keep it in the forefront of people's minds, because I'll tell you something. You take that white woman out there in Bolingbrook, Stacy Peterson, who's still missing to this day. Her family is keeping that in the media. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do, Black people. We have to do this. This is what we have to do to ensure that justice, or that we're not being marginalized as we have been over the years. Okay, and this is how it's done. This is how we have to do it and how it's done. So. I'm going to, so now to shift gears, as I've been talking over the last few weeks, this is the third part of a series of topics called The Help. When I first started, I said, we're going to talk about things. This is going to be called The Help. And this is the third part. This is the part 3 of that discussion called The Help. Okay. So I'm gonna go into this right quick. So this talking about relationships and marriage. This is the part to where a lot of people say, oh, you don't want, people don't want to talk about that. Now I'm going to say some things that's going to make some people's boo-boos hurt. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. If you have teenagers that are listening or watching, this would be most important for them, so they can understand how to navigate in this thing. It doesn't matter, of all ages, really, if you're a teenager, or if you are in your 20s, if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, some of the things I'm going to say are going to be they're going to be relevant. And it also going to give you a moment of pause to look at some things, to say, See, when I talk, I don't pull things out of my ass. It just doesn't work that way. A lot of the intellect is wisdom, which wisdom comes from God. And as I said before, the word wisdom, that's where it comes from. That's where wisdom comes from. Okay. Or I should say, let me be more specific. The word philosophy, you can look this up. You can do your search engine, Google it, whatever. But as it says, philosophy means the love of wisdom. That's what it means. And even in a marriage or a relationship, wisdom is prevalent. It is needed. It helps you decipher certain things. It gives you guidance. It helps sort of brings, keeps the needle pointing north. Okay. Now, one of the two subjects I'm going to address. Okay. When when women, and this is going to kind of be a one side of the coin, then I'm gonna flip it to the other side. Okay, or I should say, this is going to be different sides of the same coin. Okay, now let's start with this part here. We have women. Now let's start with this part here. We have women. Because we have women that say, or that say, this is what they're going to do. I'm looking for a husband. I'm looking for a husband. Let me ask you a question. For those that have said that, for those who are still in the process of that, why are you looking for a husband? That's the question that you should ask yourself. Why are you looking? Because here's the thing: if you're looking for a husband, what are you bringing to the table? What can you bring to the table? How are you going to be beneficial? Operative word: looking for a husband. I don't ever recall in the Bible where any woman, I don't recall the Bible ever say a woman should look for a husband. I don't recall anywhere in the Bible where any man was looking for a husband. And I can go down the list. Let me start with the number one dude, Adam. Adam wasn't looking for an team, and we have to be specific. Adam had a helpmate. He had a helper. Adam wasn't looking. God sent her created her, basically gave him to her. Okay. That's how that worked. Adam's job was to take care of her, and not only that, but he was the overseer. Adam's job was he had dominion over her. And see, this is one of the things where a lot of you women don't want to hear that. Hear the word submission, dominion, because you feel like, oh my goodness, it's like he's taking away my individuality. Well, Adam didn't take away Eve's individuality. Okay, and and just earmark that. Let's take, because we're sticking to marriage and relationships. Let's take the next man, Abraham. Abraham. It doesn't say that Abraham. It doesn't say that Sarah was looking for a husband. Doesn't say that That doesn't say that Sarah was looking for Abraham. Doesn't say that at all. Doesn't say that at all. But not only that, but she was submissive and she was obedient to her husband. She tended to the things that were that she tended to the things that women were supposed to at that time tended to. She did not insert herself into conversations that involved men. She did not do that. Abraham, being the Godhead, being the head, the Godhead, the overseer, the overseer, the supervisor, so on and so on and so forth. Then you move down. Then you go as you move down the line. You move down the line. Then you get to Moses. Once again, you had Moses. You didn't have his wife Sapphira looking for her husband. She wasn't looking. She was tending. Here's the thing about Sapphira. She tended to the things that single women tend to, which is herself and the Lord. She tended to the things that were for her until God sent Moses to her. See, this is one of the things that right now, living in practical times, a lot of women are out there, and you're spending too much time looking for a man. Some of you at the club, I'm looking for a man. Some of you at the job, I'm looking for a man. This man got to have this. This man got to have that. This man, this man, that. See, all you're saying is you're talking about what you want. You're talking about what you want. But what are you bringing to the table? The three women that I mentioned they had things to bring to the table. See, if you're talking about this is what you want to do, first of all, get yourself in order. I've said this on the previous show. The first thing people need to do. This is both men and women. This is why I said this is two sides of the same coin. First of all, know thyself. Know who you are before you decide to take on someone else. Particularly if you out there, I'm looking for a husband. Help me understand. Looking for a husband? Why are you looking? Do the things that you need to do to be in a position for that man to find you. Be in that position. If you are that individual to where you are tending to the things that pertain to you, such as taking care of yourself, such as levels of taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, everything you need is going to come to you. He's going to find you. But if you're one of those individuals that are loud, you can hear you coming before you even enter the room. If you're one of those individuals who have a Jezebel spirit, or who are selfish, or feel that levels of entitlement, these are things that you have to push away. You have to look at this, and at the same time, there's a point to where if you are, and the other thing, there's the most important thing. If you're talking about this is what you want to be a wife, the most important thing, you have to be spiritually grounded. Not just all of a sudden, I'm gonna pick up a Bible, or I need to get right with God. I need to do this. And fellas, how many of you have heard this story, heard this nonsense about, well, what happened? Well, all of a sudden she decided, that she says she needs to find herself, and she needs to get right with God. Oh, well, damn, nigga, y'all was just out at the club 3 nights ago, and then I'm sure that 2 nights ago, y'all were together. She on her back legs in the air and 10 toes to Jesus, and then all of a sudden you have an epiphany? How does that work? See, what happens is that when all of a sudden someone says that I need to get right with God. See, what it is that there are certain things that you want, and you're trying to use this as a gateway to say, well, if I do this, all the goodness is going to come to me. No, you got it wrong. It doesn't work that way. Fellas, the same thing. It doesn't work that way. Fellas, for example, if in the process of being brought to a mate, being brought to someone, okay, there are things that we also as men we have to create, we have to bring to the table. We have to be in a position to where we can create things. We have to be the kind of people, the kind of individuals that not only create, but we can also solve problems. What good is this nigga if he can't solve his own problems? How is he going to be able to solve yours? How is that possible? How is he going to do that? How? And see, this is one of the biggest things that plagues us as blacks in our relationships, because everybody doesn't know their place, but at the same time, everybody wants something. You got a lot of women, they want married. They want to be married. Here's the thing, ladies. Here's the thing. And you can and trust and believe you can go to a real Bible. Let me put it that way. Go to a real Bible, not something that somebody just threw together and said this this works. No, you do your study, you go into it, and it will give you everything you need. It will give you the guidance. Very simply put, you have to be in a position. It will tell you that there are people on this planet, men and women, who are not destined to be married. Not destined. Marriage is not for you. Because he has something else for you to do. Then, should he decide, then you go from there. But you have to look at that first and foremost. Know thyself. Women, get to know yourself first. Women, love yourself first. Love yourself first, because in order to love someone else, you have to love yourself. The other thing, the other caveat, we can't talk about love unless we talk about this too. We have to talk about, there are a lot of women that live with trauma, that have gone through trauma and continue to live with it. You continue to live with it because you keep looking in your rearview mirror instead of out of the windshield. I'm not minimizing what you may have gone through, but you can't carry that like Samsonite luggage from airport to airport. You just can't do that, because all you're going to do is is create an environment for the man that you are to be with, create skid marks when he's leaving, because like I said, a real man is not going to tolerate that. He's not going to tolerate a woman with a sassy woman, a smart mouth woman. He's not going to tolerate a woman who has no discipline, who has no order, who has no character. He's not going to tolerate that. A real man. On the flip side of this very same coin, men, there are women that are not going to tolerate they're not going to tolerate lazy men who always have a sob story, an excuse on why they can't do something, why they can't be men. But first of all, going back to this part, you have to be truly spiritually grounded. And when I say truly spiritually grounded, that doesn't mean you just started 5 years ago. This is something that most of us got or should have gotten when we were children growing up in our parents' home. See, in order to understand the part about spiritual grounding, take a tree. You take that tree, you plant that tree, This particular tree I'm going to use is, say, a sequoia, or say an oak tree. Because if I say sequoia, some of you, your head might explode and you're standing there scratching like, I never heard of that tree. It wouldn't. And if you say, and if you're scratching your head because you never heard of it, I'm not surprised. This is the part where elevate yourself, educate yourself. This is the part. This is why other nationalities are zooming by us at breakneck speed. This is why this happens. So that being said, you take that oak tree and if you've ever seen an oak tree when it's cut down and you look at it and you see the rings, you see many rings. The rings tell you how old the tree is, but that's that's a sidebar. But that oak tree, the roots run deep, sometimes as deep as 20 to 30 feet. That's called deeply rooted. And being deeply rooted in the word, in the word, not just pulling the scripture out of your ass because you think it's convenient, or you think because it's convenient, or because this is something you figure out you're being smart about. It doesn't work. No. Because first of all, you have to believe that. You got to believe the scripture that you just tossed out to somebody. You have to believe it. And if you don't believe it and you're doing that, you're being judgmental. Being deeply rooted means that you don't have to throw scriptures out at people. You watch that, your actions say, okay, no, this is how this is done. Or you explain to them what that means. Deeply rooted. When you have an individual, when you're starting out in a relationship, there has to be first of all, there has to be an understanding. There has to be a clear understanding on which direction this is going to go. Here's the other part, the clear understanding. The other part is, if you happen to date someone, and I've spoken about this before. If you're dating someone, and if you're dating a woman and she has children, okay. Now let's really delve into this part. You're dating someone and you got kids, she got kids. Okay. At this particular point, if she's talking about, well, she's saving herself, but she got kids, she didn't pushed out a bunch of kids, or all of a sudden, you know what, we can't do this because I'm waiting on the Lord to send me my man. At what point how does all of a sudden, after you did the ooh and ah, and you didn't pumped out several kids, all of a sudden it becomes glory. It becomes gold. Don't you think that's kind of asinine? Because it's too late. It's asinine. Now, if you're dating someone with children, okay, there should be an understanding. Hey, this man, ladies, and listen, hear me good. If a man is dating you, he's dating you, and say for the sake of argument that he has children of his own. His first obligation or order is his own children. His first obligation is his own child or children. That means that he doesn't have to spend time with your children. He's not obligated to them. He has to do he doesn't have to do shit for them. But if he does, he does it out of respect for you or the kindness of his heart. And not only that, if he does it, that's a bonus for you. It's a bonus. And sometimes women get it confused that, well, if you're gonna date me, you got to accept my children. No, I don't. No, he doesn't. No, we don't. So there has to be an understanding, and vice versa. If a woman's dating a man and he has children, she doesn't have to accept those children. She doesn't. And not only that, pulling a portion of scripture, pulling apart. Let me flip this around. If you can show me somewhere in the Bible If anybody can show me somewhere in the Bible where it says that a man is supposed to is to that he is obligated if he's with a woman and he's obligated to take care of those children, I will recant my statement. I will take it back. But I don't think I've read the Bible. I don't see it in there. Now, with the that's the see now if we go further back, we have to understand that sometimes people get it confused that we are supposed to do these things. Not necessarily. His first obligation, that man's first obligation is to his own flesh and blood. His own. Now, ladies, if you have a problem with that man putting his children before yours, then you're a selfish individual. You want to have this conversation. Have the conversation with the one with the one that you had these children by. Have that conversation with him. That's what you do. Then that's a part of taking responsibility. Taking responsibility. There's nothing say that any man has to do for that woman or her do for that woman's children. Even if, and now here's the other now this is the gateway or the bridge. Now, in the event that say you and this woman create a child from your union, that's still at the discretion, that's still discretionary between the two parties. Where if they say, no, I just want you to take care of yours, the other one or other ones, I got that. Now, this is not throwing anybody in the bus, because I've even heard women say, well, no, if I'm dating a man, first and foremost, he's not going to meet my children until I know what direction we're going. He's not going to meet my children. He's not going to. Or she would say, you don't have to do anything for them unless you want to. Meaning that if they happen to go out, if they're going out for a burger, he doesn't have to bring anything, no other food back. That's only if he chooses or decides or to do something nice. We have to understand where we are. Understand, the ladies have to understand where your place is. Now, gentlemen, fellas, guys, there's a point to where you have to establish the direction that the relationship is going to go. That should be almost a day one conversation. Okay. Okay. But we will agree that it doesn't happen sometimes. It doesn't happen. Okay. Or just to say, in a perfect world, yes, those are conversations that should be had. But sometimes they're not, because there's a level of excitement and getting to know each other and blah 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 blah. Okay, that happens. That's part of it. Part of life and part of the relationship. Okay, now if we're getting to the part where someone says, okay, well, we need to, you all have been together or whatever the case may be. Here's the other caveat. You have to look at when people say, well, we've been together X amount of time. Okay. First and foremost, you have to when you look at this, actually break down the time that you all have actually cohabitat and actually said that you have shared a common place. You've actually split the bills. You actually did this. Okay. If you're living in one place and he's living in another place, that really doesn't count, because you all have your different lives. You have your different financial obligations. But once you all start to put those together, then that time starts to count. You start counting that the time. That's when the time starts, because now you've made a decision. Hey, this is what we're going to do. But everybody has to pull their weight, and not only that, but make sure that you're bringing something to the table. The worst thing you want to do is get into this thing and you have nothing to give or offer. If you have a man, and I mean a real man, who goes out every day and works, or he knows how to generate, and he knows how to generate revenue, or he's generated revenue. He knows how to do these things. He knows how to solve problems. He is keeping his house together. Now understand something. Once this happened, we will agree that yes, we all bring luggage into, we all baggage into a relationship. We all do. But if you are a man or a woman that thinks that that's not part of it, you are delusional. She's gonna have luggage that she's gonna have luggage that you probably don't even know about. He's gonna have luggage that you probably don't even know about. You might not talk about it. She might not talk about it. She could be dealing with a level of trauma. She could be dealing with a medical issue. She could be dealing with a number of things. Men can be dealing with levels of trauma. See, and this is one of the things that sometimes we don't get a chance to talk about even men go through trauma. Yes, and that is very true. But men are built differently. Some of us are wired differently, to where what we do is that we tend to either suppress it, or we tend to suppress it, and then we press on, because how some of us are raised, how we're built, because we're looking at, if I'm no good to her, if I'm no good to myself, I'm no good to her. I need to be there for her when she's going through her emotional roller coaster, or her trauma, or her trauma train, or whatever it's going to be. You're trying to be there for that. So what do we do as men? We kind of push it off. We kind of push what's going on with us to the side. We suppress it. We do that. This is one of the reasons why we have a lot of effed up black men right now, because of the level of trauma that we have suffered at the hands of family, friends, foes, women, even sometimes, and these are the things that we deal with. And the same thing with women, family, friends, foes, and men. This is part we have to, and these are things that we have to look at and get a grip and get a grasp on, in order for us to learn to have healthy relationships. One of the things that struck me, and I had to really think about this. I really did, and it kind of made sense. But we have to ask ourselves these questions too. Are the people that we are with or have been with, were they meant for us? Were these the people that God sent to us, or did we make the choice for him? And I tell you, 7 out of 10, we made the choice. We saw somebody, man or woman, and we decided that we're going to get to know them, and then we're going to get into a relationship, and then it turns into a steaming pile of shit rolling down a hill. Because the point is where you all did not spend enough time to get to know each other, or you say you do, but you really don't. And at the end of the day, were you all meant to be together? Was you all destined to be with each other? And almost to a point where that's something, and I want you all to really think about that as you go through the rest of your week. If you're with your mate, your partner, hey, I have to think about that. Was this the person I was supposed to be with, or I made the choice? I made the choice. That's the thing we have to ask ourselves. We have to really ask that ourselves to a certain degree, and say, we have to be realistic with ourselves. We definitely have to be realistic with ourselves, because sometimes we ask ourselves, well, how are people, some people, they met when they were in high school, and they've been together 70 years, still doing their thing. As they say, soulmates. Those and just so happened, those were people who were meant to be together. They were meant. It goes back to what I said, meant to be together. And then there are some people who are not destined for marriage. Now, don't take it the wrong way and say, oh my gosh, this is it. And, oh my goodness, I'm 35 and I'm not married yet. See, what you're doing is you're putting too much into it. You're putting too much thought into it because you're not even looking at this right. You will have people, and women are notorious for this, is saying, well, I need to get right with God. Well, is getting married. How does getting married correlate with getting right with God? How does that work? I'm a little in the dark on that one. How does that work? I need to be married so I can be right with God. Or here's one. This is a good one here. You get brothers that go to prison. Some of them going to the booty house, going to the boom boom room. Then all of a sudden, then they come out and they say, wait, let me back up. They're in there and then they're writing their girl and saying, yeah, I'm in here. And you know what? I found Jesus, or I found God. Let me ask you a question, bro. Let me ask you a question. When was Jesus lost? I mean, was it I didn't see it on the news that saying, our Lord and Savior is missing. If you do see him, please send a prayer to send a prayer up that he can find his way home. Help me understand something. Help me understand that. And when people say, I found God, when was God lost? He never was. You were. That's the thing. We see, this is the thing that we get confused. We say we found him. No, we didn't. You were the one that was lost. He was just waiting for you to come around and say, yeah, I'm a little lost. He was never lost. He's been right where he's been since the dawn of time. Not even day one, but since the dawn of time. Neither one of them is lost. Because these are the same two people who created everything and found and wants us to come to them. We're lost. Okay, I got open arms. But you cannot use that as an excuse, a gateway, a reason to say why certain things are the way they are in your life. Certain things are the way they are in your life is because you made the decision. You didn't listen. You made a decision. You took a risk with you did something with no plan. And not only that, a collaboration of other things. A collaboration of other things. But see, if we spend so much, if we spend so much time always thinking about what we want and all the bad, how can anything good come your way, such as that man that you quote unquote looking for? Looking for. How does that work? How is that supposed to happen? Now the second part of the segue is you have to ask yourself these questions. And once again, ladies, ask yourself this question. I know everybody has seen The Color Purple. We've all seen it. And there's points to where in that movie, it even gets me mad because you just like, you kind of scratch your head, but we have to understand that was common at that time. And ladies, you have to ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself this question. Do you want a Harpo or do you want a Mister? Because most of you want a Mister. You're not ready. You don't want to deal with Harpo. And see, Harpo was a circus clown, a fool. See, some of you want a Mister, but you're not ready for that Mister. And when I say that, I'm saying that in a way to where you want someone. This Mister was the one who had everything together. Even as confusing as his character was, this was the guy who had it together. He had things going in a direction to where there was a level of benefit. And even as crazy, this is a guy, Mister. He had a farm. He had, he had a little bit of something, something, a little bit of something, something. Ask yourself the question: do you want a Harpo or do you want a Mister? Now, to not, and now this other part is that now, fellas, I'm not, I will not, I will never condone the abuse of women. Never, not never, not never, not never, or ever, not ever. But at the same time, there are things that we as men, we have to address and deal with. Have to deal with. And when once we get an understanding, or we get a pinpoint that, hey, there's certain things that we have to deal with. We have to, it's even within myself, people have, the one thing that people, one of many, the one thing that people know about me, or they will say, is that I have a sense of order, which is true. A sense of order about the way that I do things, how it should be carried out, because I see how it unfolds. I see how it's supposed to go, how this, that, and the other. Now, understand something. God himself has a sense of order. And if you are one of those people that have a sense of order, that only comes from God, not man-made. If you want to know something about a person, if you want to know something about that man, you want to know something about that woman, you ain't got to go through his phone. You ain't got to go through his wallet. You ain't got to go through their drawers. You ain't got to do all that, because he would see, when you're doing all of that, you're looking for something to hurt yourself. And the idea is, don't hurt yourself. If you want to know something about that person, look in their closet. Look in their closet. Look at their end table or their nightstand, the side of their nightstand. If they look at certain things on how certain things are arranged, or the array. But the biggest thing is look in their closet. If you open that closet and there's shit everywhere, no level of organization, things on clothes just on a hanger, clothes hanging on a hanger but not on a hanger, shoes scattered about, whatever. If you open that man's closet and you see everything everywhere, or then you look into his bathroom and you see everything everywhere. If you want to know something about a person, look at how they function. And the biggest thing is their closet. If they got shit everywhere, this is a problem. They have no sense of order. But these are some of the same people say, I need to get right with God. God is not the author of, he is not, and nor has he ever been the author of chaos. He has order. And in order for a relationship to work, for a relationship / marriage to work, there has to be a sense of order. And if that man has an order, he has order about himself. You may not agree, you may not like it, but if he has a sense of order, you could learn something from him. If you're one of those men that you by yourself and this woman has a sense of order, ask yourself why you by yourself. If you this woman and this man has a sense of order, the way that he does things, ask yourself why you by yourself, or the marriage imploded. The same thing. Ask yourself these questions. Ask these things. Order is so important in involving relationships / marriage. It is very, very important. It plays a huge part when you all are divvying up bills. It plays a huge part when you are raising children, wedlock or out of wedlock. It plays a huge part. Guys, you can't be out you got kids. You can't be out there in the damn streets running around and leaving the mama to fend for herself, raising these kids and all this kind of carrying on. You can't do that. Ladies, you can't, neither can you. You can't be out in these streets. You can't be doing this. You can't be chasing no nigga and forsaking your children or forsaking your job, forsaking your responsibilities. You can't do that. It's a sense of order. A sense of order. I might, and even with myself, with my closet, it's just everything in my closet is arranged, simply arranged. Not so much, and that's just, and I've been that way. I've been that way since I was a little boy. My brothers would flip out, dude. Is it really serious that you have to put that I think I had like 3 or 4 suits, but when I would three or 4 suits, and I had my ties and I had my shirts and in my shoes, all of this was arranged. I had my suits went from light to dark. My shirts went from light to dark. My shoes, they went from dress. There was my dress shoes, my casual shoes, and my athletic shoes. Not something that someone told me or taught. That's just how I'm wired. That's just how I am. That's just it. And there are some people who are like that. If I, and that's a good thing, because when you have a sense of order, you carry that into the relationship or the marriage, and hopefully that man or that woman that is with you, they will latch on to that. And not only that, but it will be better for the entire household, because what happens if that man has a sense of order, then he's teaching that, then operative word. And I'm saying this, I can't stress this enough. When that man in that household or your Godhead is teaching the woman how to do things in an orderly fashion, her job is to teach those children, to educate. It filters down to the children. That's her job. That's it. That's how it works. You have the man, the woman, the child, or children. And when you are an individual, or when you have individuals who has a sense, who there's a sense of chaos, not solely a sense of chaos, not only in their home, but in their mind, in everything they do. And then they spend all of this time pointing the finger at everyone else but themselves. Well, how come you this, that, and the other? It's not a matter of how come. It's a matter that this is a person. If this woman is trying to show this man, and I I know some brothers, and when they come and talk to me, I said, well, what was the problem, man? Well, she was saying this and saying that and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, nigga, she was telling you right. There comes a point in time where sometimes we have to listen to the woman, because there's a point that she could be right. There's a point to where she does have a mind. There's a point to where she has the ability to problem solve. You might want to listen, because me knowing him, he don't have he don't have the best best cup of coffee best cup of coffee skills. He just doesn't. That's just the truth. And sorry, bro, I ain't throwing you on the bus, but I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. So, I'm just saying, that's just it, bro. But and vice versa. Women, ladies, if this man is out, this man is busting his ass, doing what needs to be done. Now here's the other thing too. Yes, he has baggage. He has baggage, or whatever it may be. This is part of it. This is part. See, and I know this sounds kind of crazy, but sometimes it's sort of a trade-off. And even with women have baggage. But sometimes we tend to overlook that. Why? Because we see something worth saving. We see something worth putting the effort and time in. So certain things we kind of overlook, or we kind of put off to the side. We kind of do that. But then also, people, there comes a point to where if you're with that man or with that woman, and there is no, how do I put it? There is, for lack of a better word, there's no redemption. What you have to do is very simply put, don't give good meat to dogs. Cast not your pearls before swine. Meaning that if you have a lot of goodness to give and you have somebody that doesn't see it or understand that, keep it moving. Because all they're going to do is create more chaos and havoc. That's all they're going to do. Tell you that, I'm going to tell you that right now. Interesting, and this is an interesting note, a sidebar here. I hope you all can see this book. See, Earl, what camera what camera? Oh, this one here. Okay. All right. So this book, on the job today, I found this book near the trash. Okay. And the name of the book is called Black Pearls. Hopefully you all can see it. Okay. And it's called Black Pearls. Okay. And I don't want to cover up the words at the bottom. Okay. It's called Black Pearls. Now it says this is daily meditations, affirmations, inspirations for African American people. Okay. I found this book by the garbage. This is one of the problems that we have, once again, throwing away knowledge and wisdom. So I was skimming through it, and I'm gonna read you all something out of this book, which is, because once I saw it, I said, oh, I took it on, and cleaned it up and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go through this. And see, I read, I like to know what I like to know. I like to continue to educate my mind, feed my brain, so to speak. As our tagline here at the studio, feed your brain. Your brain is as good as what you put into it. If you're not putting anything into it, guess what? You're not going to get nothing out of it. But I'm going to read you all something, just to, and take this with you, and hopefully you get an understanding. This particular one is called God. People see God every day. They just don't recognize him. Written, and that was a quote by Pearl Bailey. How we see God affects the way we live our lives. If God is the angry power who censors and punishes us, we probably live with fear and anxiety. I'm gonna read that one line. If God is an angry power of censure and punishes us, we probably live with fear and anxiety. We may toe the line and be resentful, or cross the line to spite a God we consider cruel and unjust. Not a pleasant way to spend our time on earth. If, however, we recognize that God is in all of us, then we can start to treat ourselves and our brothers and sisters with respect. Many walk among us who are out of touch with their spiritual selves. Now, this goes back to what I said at the early on in the show. Spiritually grounded. You can't pick up a Bible and say, I'm ready to go. You can't. You have to start becoming spiritually grounded, which is something that should have happened long time ago. We all get sidetracked, but there are things that if you are spiritually grounded, you don't forget. You don't sidetrack. You don't. It comes back to you. Who would be baffled by such a notion as God is within us? Can life then have much value? We are quick to spot the devil in us. Why not the divine? It is the light within that can light our lives and light up the way. One day I will take 5 minutes to recognize the divine in me, and to remember that through me, the divine manifests itself in the world. So take that passage, that reading. Know thyself. If you spend every waking day thinking about all the bad, all of this, how come I'm not what's wrong with my relationship? What's wrong with my relationship with my man or with my woman? What's wrong with the relationship with my kids? What's wrong with my relationship with my parents? You're looking at all the bad instead of looking at all the good that they had to give too. You're looking once again, some of you knuckleheads are driving. You're using your rear view mirror to drive with instead of looking out your windshield. We can't look back on a damn thing that we have done, said, did, or done. All we can do is make peace with it and move on. Whatever happened to us, it happened. Because Lord knows there are things that have happened to me. And guess what? I don't carry it. Because why? It will be like a anchor around my neck. And I will spend the rest of my days being angry and hostile. I ain't got time for that shit. I ain't got time for it. I look every day at the goodness and greatness that God gives us every day. Every day. That doesn't mean that we have to spend every waking day with our head in a Bible. We don't have to do that. We get our few minutes and we move on. Because at the same time, instead of being a thorn in somebody's side, instead of being a hinder, instead of being a problem, why don't you work on being a blessing to somebody? And first and foremost, be a blessing to yourself. Love yourself first. Know yourself. Then you're able to understand people. You're able to love people. Yes, sometimes we look at it right now, and maybe our kids are a mess, or maybe our parents are complete jackasses, or our friends have shit on us. Guess what? That is part of life. How we react to it makes the difference. We can't spend, and I've said this before, we can't spend every waking day speaking negative, because all you're doing, every time you speak a negative word out of your mouth, you're speaking it against yourself. Oh my gosh, what am I, I want to be married so bad. Why? You have to ask yourself, is that something for you? Is that something that God has for you at this time? Get yourself right first before you talk about getting right with God, because understand something. God and Jesus were never lost. These weren't two dudes that were walking through a forest and Jesus walking through the amusement park and Jesus wandered off and now say, oh my goodness, my son is lost. It didn't happen that way. He was walking with you and you wandered off and got lost. Then he went to security and said, we're looking for this. We're looking for these people. Can you please return them back to the security booth? If you're going to do something, get it right. Get it straight. Get it right. Look at the things that are going on. Look at these things. So with that being said, and I hope, I truly you, if you're watching, you're listening, that you got something. I don't want you to watch, they flashed me 30 seconds and I hope I can get this out. But if you're watching this show and you're getting something out of it, that's the whole point. I don't want you to watch my show because you know me or because you think you're helping me. No, if you're just watching because you know me, it's pointless. You're not getting nothing out of it. I don't need your validation. I need you to take what I'm telling you or listen to what's saying and let it take root. But with that being said, down to 15, the lights are flashing in the distance and the helicopters are landing. So that means that we are out of time here on Black Intellectual Radio, here on iHeart Intellectual Radio. My man, Captain Hook. Thank you for the sponsorship, my brother. Hey, get your behind down there if you want some tasty chicken, fish, and shrimp. 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and Keene Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie, Markham, Illinois. And by the way, next week is Memorial Day, so I will see you all June 7th. And closing, not my monkey, not my circus. And when the spinner gotta hit him, gotta kill him like new shit. They call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, booted and suited in them black case. I'm looking.